Hey peeps, I'm here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm in conversation with my lovely friend Paballo Chauke, and we'll be talking about racism. This is a very important topic that I've always wanted to talk about. One of the reasons why I started this YouTube channel was actually to engage in this kind of conversations, and I'm sure you guys you've seen when you check my intro, it has racism there, and I haven't really spoken about this. So today is the day, and I have the honor to welcome Paballo Chauke, who is going to be talking to us about the complexity of racism and why people are racist. Paballo, welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to Ama and Peeps, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Hello to Ama and Peeps viewers out there. It's an honor and privilege to be invited and to join you today to speak about such an important and sensitive topic, but I think we can do it justice together.
Yeah, I think we will. So before we roll the intro, I just want to give you, just to introduce Paballo and you know what he does. So Paballo is very passionate about Africa, and he's also passionate about education, social justice, and that's why I have him here talking about racism, because it's all about social justice really. And he's also a writer, a speaker, and an academic. So I'm, like he said, we are we are certain that we will do justice, and that's why I invited him. I'm quite confident that we're going to do justice to this topic, so stay tuned. So Paballo, today we're talking about racism, but I think we should not just assume that people know what racism is. It's quite great that when we are in this kind of setup and really talking about the topic, it's quite great to kind of just break it down and define it, what it is. Can you just define to us what racism is?
Well, firstly, I think racism is based on race and racialization. Race is socially constructed. So in the past, some scientists through eugenics, people like Nazi Germany, Hitler, tried to act as though race is real and to find the scientific basis or biological basis for race. But race is not real. Human beings...
It's made up.
It's made up. Yeah. So white supremacy or white supremacists came up with ways of classifying people according to races or race.
Color.
And that's racialization, right? Yeah. However, racism is the wrongful belief that one group of people is superior innately while the others are innately inferior.
This is based on color.
Yeah, well, they're trying to match race and color, but it's much more than that. It's much more sophisticated, complex, but race is socially constructed, because even during apartheid, if you try to tell someone who's colored, sometimes they could pass as white or as black, depending on who's asking and who's watching.
Because it's not legit. So that's why things would not match up as well.
But even though it's not legit, it has real consequences.
Yeah, of course.
Historically and currently, race has been used to discriminate, prejudice, be bigoted, kill, harm, hurt and destroy people's lives. So it does have tangible consequences, even though it's not real. It's not like it's abstract and it's in our brains, it's in our minds, and it's something that we're imagining. White supremacists made sure that people behave as though race is real, and that's what racism is. It's power dynamics that are based on the false and wrongful, harmful belief that some people are more powerful, more superior than others.
But why do you think they even came up with this concept in the first place? Why do the other group wants to feel more superior than the others, or superior rather than the other group? What is the motive behind this? What are they trying to get from that feeling, or from being superior than the other? Why are people racist? Just to put this in, open, why are people racist?
Okay. So there's multiple reasons, but I'll focus on one. Capitalism. Racism is a means to an end, is a means to an economic end. So people, because there's something about scarcity mentality in the world where we think there's not enough resources, there's not enough land, there's not enough wealth for everybody. So to stratify the world, some people said, for slavery to make sense, let's say white people are more intelligent.
So that we can have...
Yeah, so let's other people, let's do some othering. For colonialism to make sense. For apartheid to make sense.
There has to be those that are worshipped and there has to be the
those
worshippers.
That are, so like master and slave. You know what I mean? Madam and maid. So there has to be a dichotomy of sorts. So I think it's about money, it's about wealth, it's about class. It's really married, particularly in South Africa. Race and class are married. Because then if you watch who owns the land, who owns the economy, and again, it's not because God ordained them to be that way. It's because someone engineered it to be that way. And
now you're just giving an example with South Africa. It's also so scary that in South Africa, majority are black people, but then now talking about who owns the land. I mean, I'm going to now just be referring to black people as the Africans that are in South Africa and white people as the I don't know what you would like to call them.
Previously called Europeans in this
previously
country.
Called Europeans.
Pre-1994 they were called Europeans.
Yes. So I would be referring to that because this is something that we are still using. These are the terms that we are using. So for people to understand this video, it makes sense to make use of the word black people and white people. But now my point here is that isn't it so scary though that a majority are black, but yet when you talk about who owns what, who owns the land, who owns most of the things in the country are actually the minority. That's very sad.
It's sad and it's unsustainable. It's unfair and it needs to change ASAP. It's a ticking time bomb. It can continue like that. And I was going to even say something when you spoke about who owns what in South Africa. White people own majority of our wealth and land and resources, right? They own the formal economy. And there's a question that people ask, because if you Google racism, according to Google, everybody can be racist. But that's not true. Black people cannot be racist because we don't have the power, because it's about power.
That's true.
Racism is about power. Because I can say, I'm using this as an example. I can say I hate a certain race. But my people who look like me historically, do not have the resources or the means to mete out violence and consequences on a certain group. So if I say as a black person that I don't like pink people, I'm using this as an example because I don't want to say any other color. Black people have never historically and politically and otherwise had the power to do anything about it. However, when a white person says I hate black people, their people historically for 400 years or 500 years have had the means and the power institutionally, systematically and otherwise to mete out. So when a white person says a racist word,
so white people can be racist, but black people
cannot be racist. We can be prejudiced. We can be bigoted, which is wrong, but we cannot be racist.
Like things like tribalism. We can be
other things. Discriminatory, but not racism. Because it's not just racism is not just about me calling white people a horrible name or whatever. It's not just a name thing. It's deeper than that. It's system. It's institutions.
Like you explained earlier. What is it worth fighting racism? You've indicated earlier that yes, racism is real. It's existing in South Africa. We are in South Africa now. It's happening. It's happening worldwide. We always hear case studies. It's happening, and you know, movements are being formed across the world just because of racism. So it is real that we have established. But then, I know you said that. Okay, you indicated earlier that it is worth fighting racism. We have to fight it. It has to stop. But how do we do that? How do we stop it? Why also does it have to stop?
It has to stop because we need a more inclusive, diverse, equal world, a fair world. Because I think racism makes the world unequal. It makes certain people of a certain race, and globally now because of white supremacy, I'm gonna name it as is, to have and amass and hold on to all the resources and power, which is unfair and unsustainable. It creates inequality. And I think for me, I want to live in a world that's much more equal, where you are judged on your character, not on your skin color, because race is not real, right? Even though the consequences are real. But sadly, though, I feel as though the change or the stop for racism is going to take longer than we anticipate or longer than we would want it to, because people benefit. Speaking about white privilege, I've tasted privilege of sorts where I studied at UCT.
So you can't just let it go.
So it's not, being privilege is nice. I'm gonna start by that. It's uncomfortable to admit it, but it's nice to know that I'm treated better than other people when I walk around because I studied at UCT, right? But so then for white people, the whole system is made for them.
That's
so
true.
it's hard to relinquish that power, because it's, imagine walking into a store and people just trust you that you're not gonna steal. No one searches you. When you apply for a job, people are going to hire you. When you're in court, the law is on your side.
When you buy property.
Education, so everything, is like the politics, education system, legal system, the justice system, everything, religious system. So when you read the Bible, Jesus is white or God is white. So everything is for you. You are the yardstick of humanity. So to let go of that, I think people really need to be made uncomfortable, but it's not nice being uncomfortable, right?
That's true.
And at times I understand, because as I said, I've tasted little bits of privileges as a man, as someone who studied in international universities, someone who's well-traveled. And I'm like, if I can just taste just a bit of privilege and enjoy it so much, what about people who are born into it?
They won't let go.
Because of racism, white people are born in a world that's there. So it's not easy. We do need to find allies. Allies that are sometimes white liberals, some of them adopt black kids, some of them...
which is happening.
It's happening bit by bit, but that's not enough. We need to share resources, because I'm sorry, I'm not gonna... Because then sometimes we have white friends who say sorry about apartheid, but okay, is your sorry gonna feed the kids?
It's not gonna reverse what happened as well, and so it's not gonna... Yeah, that's true. I know black people are also trying. I know there are a lot of companies now that, they're manufacturing, like, I'm going to give an example now. When we were growing up, we used to have dolls, and then dolls, like dolls, girls would have dolls, and they were all white. And for us, we were like, yeah, this is beautiful. So we grew up also thinking, yeah, white is good, but now there are people that are now they have companies, and they're manufacturing, they're trying to break away from everything that is good is white, and now they have like nice baby dolls that are black. So black people are doing something, but is black people's efforts as it is enough to make a difference? Or like you said, we do need allies, we need more white people coming in, right? So, but if we do, in which sense do we want them to come in? What do we want them to actually do? To say, we're gonna meet you halfway. I know black people want this. We're gonna meet you halfway. We're going to share resources, or how should it unfold, the process? There's
different ways for it to unfold. Firstly, we don't need saviors. We don't want white saviors. You're not going to come and think you are Jesus and you're going to save us. But we need you as an ally to speak to your people. Speak to, when you're at a dinner table and someone says something racist, your father, your uncle is a white person, call them out. Because the thing is, for me, because I've interacted with the whiteness all my life, from my mom who was a domestic worker to now with colleagues, and I've noted that whether I can scream and shout as black people, we can scream and shout and chant and protest and cry about racism, but racists won't listen to us, but they listen to other white people. So we need allies to go and speak to them. That's just a start. So just sort out your own people. Right? We don't need saving. We can fight for ourselves. But I think, one, take a black child from a township to school. Just go and adopt a kid. You don't have to take them to your house. Pay their fees at Bishop's, a good school. Try and reverse, because them going to a school in Kailija, which is unsafe and ill-resourced, again, they're going to fall into the same trap. So try and donate money. Have tangible things that you do. Don't just cry and be sorry. Don't just feel guilty.
But do something about it.
Do something. Change people's lives. You know what I mean?
That's true. Makes sense. I know you said you have interacted a lot with, with the white people and people that are, so much believing into racism. But then, have you yourself experienced racist acts, or have you experienced people being racist to you? And if you have, I would really like to know, how did you react? How did you feel? What would you have wanted the person to do instead? Just to share your experience with us.
So I've sadly experienced racism from very young. The first racist act I experienced, I was 6. So my mom was a domestic worker. I'm from Pretoria. So she used to go sleep in the boss's place at work. It's a suburb in Chantel. It's a suburb in Pretoria.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful small suburb. So anyway, I'd visit her on weekends.
Yeah.
Because during the week I'd go to school, but on weekends she'd come and fetch me. I'd go there. So there was a day where she gave me like 50 cents to go buy sweets. So then I left the house and I went to the tuck shop.
Yeah.
So it's a white town. I'm the only black kid there.
Yeah.
So there was a group of white kids. I remember like there was about 10 of them. I'm walking and they held weights at me, and I think I remember hearing the K word. And what they did was they opened a pipe of water.
Oh no!
And they sprayed me, obviously while shouting whatever they were. And I was 6, so I think I know that was obviously terrible.
Yeah.
But that's not the only one. I've experienced racism all my life. I experienced racism here in Cape Town, like just thinking about how when I go to restaurants, there's an assumption that I shouldn't be there or that I can't afford to be there. So it's
and this is like 2022 and we're still talking about this. It's
so from UCT, lecturers have been racist towards me. I've experienced racism at Oxford, everywhere I go. By the way, I travel a lot and I used to travel a lot for work. And for some reason, I get searched for drugs a lot.
Just because of your skin color.
Of my skin color.
If you
when
were
I go to
otherwise,
Germany, when I go to America, they stop me. I always have to stand in a queue when I go. So it's sort of, my skin is demonized, stigmatized, and criminalized.
But also the sad thing here now from what you're saying is that you've experienced racism in your own continent. This is Africa now, especially even your country, South Africa, you have experienced it. Now when you go outside, you experience it. So it looks like everywhere you go, when you're a black person, it's not easy for you. But that said, I mean, at least maybe it would be nice if we would own it and not have to experience these things in our own country or continent, you know what I mean?
But white supremacy doesn't care. White supremacy is disrespectful. It will come to your own home and discriminate against you in your own home. So I think, it's exhausting, I'm not gonna lie. But I think for me personally, I don't accept it. I personally, as someone who's passionate about social justice, I call it out. I complain. I write to the manager. I mention you are racist. I'm not gonna. So I'm not those black people that are gonna be crying at home and complaining amongst my friends. I will speak to the racists right there and then and say, I'm not the one that you're gonna be racist to. This is not whatever period it was okay for
where
me to be
we were
racist.
silenced.
I'm not silenced. I will not be silenced. I will speak out because it's not okay. Because I want to call out racism in such a way that my kids or my grandkids are going to live in a world that's much more equal than what it is now.
Yes, and now, do you also then believe that by not being silent, like what other people would do, just by speaking out and standing up for yourself, do you believe that should be how maybe most people should react when they are faced with such situations where they...
So I'm not one to dictate to people about how to react to discrimination, whether it be homophobia, xenophobia, or tribalism or
whatever.
Because it's exhausting. I'm not gonna lie. Like for me, waking up, like I love being black. I love myself. I don't want to start there. I love myself, but the system doesn't love me. The system hates me, right? So I wake up on a daily and I'm like, ooh, I'm black, and that means it's a war. I have to defend my being. I have to defend my right to be here. I have to
daily basis.
Remind myself that I'm enough, that I'm not inferior, that I'm good enough, that I belong in this world, that the universe, that God created me as I am, and that God loves me, even though the system doesn't love me, even though the system is against me.
So it starts with you.
But that's exhausting though. It's work. It's so there are times where I just don't wanna deal with it.
That's true.
So that's why I don't wanna police how people react. So if you walk away or you cry or you close down,
if that makes you feel good, then let it be.
That's okay. But for me, obviously, and I have my moments where I'll keep quiet, but mostly I'll speak out.
Yeah.
But I'm not, so as I said, it's exhausting though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm asking you this question because my daughter, she actually experienced it at school, and she's like only 13. So, but then guess what? She stood up. And she was happy about it. And even today, she's like, whatever is going to happen to me against something like that, I'm going to stand out. I feel good. I let it out. and now I know that I'm opening up because other girls at the school also started opening up and they feel good about it. Rather than keeping it in, they felt like it hurts them. So I agree with you that maybe people should just do what makes them feel good. So if they feel like, if they experience any prejudice, if they feel like keeping quiet and going home and cry about it is good and it helps them, then let them do that. But I would recommend for people to speak up, because speaking up in a way, it will also let the people that are doing that to know that it's actually wrong, and maybe somehow it
can I say
change.
something?
Yeah.
They know.
They know.
They know. I think
course
there's something that we say, privilege blinds.
Yeah.
Oh, poor white people, they don't know the reason. They know. People are very intentional.
Yeah, with
they
their
benefit
actions.
from it.
Yeah.
So that let's not. That's why I don't go around educating white people about racism.
They
know
what they're doing, and they know.
People,
yeah.
men know about patriarchy.
Yeah.
Men know.
Oh,
they
yeah,
know.
of course. Yeah.
Homophobes know they're homophobic.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna hold a conference to hold hands and kumbaya with people and say I'm gonna teach you about. People know what they're doing.
True.
They're very strategic. They're very intentional.
Yeah.
I think obviously for us, it's to call it out and fight. Because victory is ours. The only way to change the world is to fight and is to believe. I think Audre Lorde or someone like either Audre Lorde or Toni Morrison says you have to believe that a different world is possible, and you have to believe that every day. And that means fighting, not physically, but that means either writing.
Be active.
This is activism. This is what we're doing now. Sparking a conversation with your viewers, bringing awareness. This is fighting. Fighting physically also sometimes. I'm not obviously violent. Read Fanon. So there are times when it's necessary, because I mean there are people who can come with a gun and say,
yeah, of course.
Hey,
then you have to defend yourself.
Then you have to defend yourself. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not saying go fight people.
Yeah.
But we cannot be complacent. We cannot accept the conditions that we live under. We have to fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, Paballo, I would speak to you the whole night, the whole day. You are amazing. It's been really great talking to you about this topic. But for now, we will have to end it here. But you've been amazing, and truly appreciate you sharing your experience, your thoughts about racism.
Can I say something?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Just read. Don't just Google definitions of words. Read books. Read journal articles from critical race theorists that are going to teach you about racism. Because what white supremacy does, it tries to water down and sort of
blinden you.
Yeah, and sort of hide the real meaning of things.
Yeah.
So read books by Steve Biko, I Write What I Like.
Oh yeah.
Race by Dimitri Erasmus. Read, you know what I mean, Toni Morrison's books. Audre Lorde. Just don't bell hooks and others, feminists, Kimberly Crenshaw, so some are American, some are South African. But don't just Google or like listen to AfriForum on TV. Because
those things also, I believe they are sugar coated. You know, they're not going to give you the real definition of things and the real meanings. I totally agree with you. Yeah, so what I will do is, for the viewers, I'm going to just put the list of those books that they are recommending in the description box below, so that you can then easily access them when they're written down. So thanks a lot, Paballo, for sharing that information. Knowledge is key, knowledge is power. I am in education, so I do know that knowledge is power, and knowledge has the power to really change things and make a difference. So I thank you once again, Paballo.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, me too. I think viewers, if you also enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. And also you can leave a comment below as well, just to hear your thoughts, what you think about my conversation with Paballo about racism. So for now, that's it from us. Until we see each other again next time, take care and goodbye.
I'm and Peeps.
I'm and Peeps.